Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. So today, April 9th, it's a great time to start your annual flowers, and you can save a lot of money, as always, in seed starting, but even more with the annuals because they just sprout, germinate so quickly, they grow really well as seed starts. You're going to be able to fill up your entire garden, containers, wherever you want to put them. So a couple of basics. April 9th, I started my perennial flowers back in January, and I have them outside, and I will be cutting in as we're doing this, showing you some perennial flowers, some annual flowers, and just showing you how they are growing so you have some idea of what you're going to look like. You still have time to start perennials right now. They may not bloom this year, but you can start as many of the perennial flowers as you want, get them established in your garden, so grow them in here, then you put them into your garden. They will establish over this year, and next year they'll come back with a vengeance. They'll flower, they'll bloom. Again, you'll save yourself money because you're not paying $8 for a large perennial flower. You started them by seed. Next year comes, they're full size, so you can still do perennials. Annuals grow really fast. They flower throughout the whole season. Perennials tend to flower spring, summer, or one time for a period of time, and then they stop. Annuals are wonderful. So we're going to plant them up. This is how I keep track of them. It's 6 cells across, 6 cells on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get the idea. And then I put the date, 4/9, number 12, and then right in this corner, I don't know if you can see it, I'll show you at another point. Right on the corner of the flat, I put the same date and time, and that orients the flat. I know what's in there. I don't have to use markers. So some of the most favorite annuals to plant are marigolds. They're big seeds. Let me get these open. And you want to make sure that you don't break these seeds. They're really easy to break. To plant them, well, first of all, let's check out my grid here. And I'm going to be putting them in number 3. So they're going to go up here. For marigolds, press a nice indentation in your seed starting mix. This is pre-moistened seed starting mix. If you want to subscribe and follow me, I go over just about everything related to vegetable gardening. But you can find on my channel how to set up your seed starting mix, pre-moisten it, and all that. So you're putting in a nice indentation in here because we're just going to lay, might be hard to see, it's pretty deep, but we're just going to lay the seed in there. You could put in 1 or 2. I like to put in 2. I double plant. You could put in 1 if you just want to use 1. And then you're just dropping in 2 seeds right into the depression. Just be careful you don't break the marigold seeds. They germinate really quickly. I'm going to show you. And you want to get a seed that looks like this. The full seed. It's just kind of like the tail, nothing broken. Drop them in, and that sets up the marigolds. I'll do all these later. Here's some annual flats. They've been growing about 20-25 days. To the left there are African daisies, lots of different marigolds. They grow extremely well as seed starts, and if we spin all the way around here, going all the way down, these are all different marigolds. Don't be afraid to seed start annuals. You're just going to save yourself a ton of money. They grow really fast. You can start them now. They'll be ready for later spring, early summer. Alright, cosmos are a beautiful annual. They come in all different heights. We're going to be doing zinnias too. You notice again, these are bigger seeds. So a lot of times I just drop the seeds on here, flowers and vegetables, and then I press them in. Because these are long and thin, it's easy to break them. So let's see, cosmos are going right next to the marigolds. So same thing, depression, somewhere between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 an inch. You don't need to over worry about it. We're going to drop soil on this later. We'll do that at the end. And I'm taking again 2 seeds per. You can go with 1. So that's the cosmos. Pretty straightforward. Perennial flowers. These are Shasta daisies that I started back in January. More marigolds. Candy Tough, Sweet William, nasturtiums, all of them again can be started in flats just like this. Next ones are the zinnias. That's the Z. Zinnias are just absolutely beautiful. They're wonderful flowers to put into your garden. This is State Fair Giant. They'll grow anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 feet tall. You can get some that are 6 inches. There's all kinds of different varieties. These are large seeds too. Oh, forgot to do the depression there. 2 into each of them. And I don't mind growing 2 annuals, often 2 plants in the same space. Nature drops seeds right on top of each other, and flowers seem to do fine. So that is the State Fair zinnia. Also hollyhocks. Now all these too, if you have a nice warm season and a long season, you can just direct sow these if you want to. But these are going to be hollyhocks. I like seed starting, and the hollyhocks are going to go on the end here. Let me move this out of the way. I'm also going to show you how to plant in here too, some of the snapdragons. Because it's a little bit cooler now, the germination would take longer outside if I dropped seeds, so I want to start them in here. This is something you can do under grow lights. You can also do the method I've been talking about before, is we could put in the seeds, wait till we see a couple break the surface, and then this goes out during the day when it is warm and it's no frost or freeze in the forecast. Bring them in at night. They'll enjoy the warmth of the house at night for the root system, and you just bring them in and out. You'll get tons of seed starts that way. Hollyhocks. They're large seeds too, and these plants get really big. And I'm still going to put 2 per, but these can get 6, 8 feet tall depending on the variety. And we're just dropping both seeds in there. So I'm going to finish these up, cover them up, and then we'll go to snapdragons and strawflower. These are my perennial plants. Started these in January. You can start them now. They may not flower this year, but because they're perennials, they'll come back really strong next year. So there's 32 plants in each cell. Those are painted daisies, blanket flower, have carnations in here, blue bedder sage. They're all going to go into these flower boxes. Bee balm, carnations, more of the sage. Again, great way to save money. 32 times 4, what is that? Over 120 plants, pennies a plant. So you can plant perennials, annuals, get tons of flowers, don't spend a lot of money. So if you've missed kind of the window to get these perennials planted now for them to flower, go ahead and plant them anyway. Put them where you want, and next year they're going to come back nice and strong, and they're going to be flowering for you. Again, this is what I planted, and that's how I keep track of what's in the flats. And you put a mark right down there on the left corner, and then you can orient the tray and you know exactly what you're growing. So these are all annuals, except for the hollyhock. They're perennials, biennials in some areas. However, they grow really quickly and they will flower even if you start them now in April or even in May. They're a little bit different. So your annuals just don't like the frost. We're still getting frost, so I'll start these inside, let them sprout, probably move them outside during the day, inside at night. You can do that. You can also do this all season long with annuals because they grow really quickly, they flower really quickly. Just to keep in mind, when these are outside, so you can, start them just like this, put them outside when frost is gone, let the sun do its thing. However, when it's getting to be 70, 80 degree days, the sun's beating down, these can dry out in a couple of hours. Because they're black, they absorb the sun. Sometimes they can heat up, so you want to keep that in mind. So maybe put these in a place where they get a lot of morning sun, and then shade comes in, or they get more later afternoon sun, and then shade comes in. Just keep an eye on them. Frost is the enemy in the beginning. Really hot sun is the enemy when spring and summer come, when you're growing in flats. So you do have to keep that in mind. So this is everything. I wanted to show you them just a little bit closer here. Zinnia, Marigolds, Cosmos, hollyhocks, and that's the depression, just so you have a sense. And then all you do is drop on some seed starting mix, lightly covered over, and that's going to work to get these started off. Pre-saturated, nice and dark. When the top's light into a light brown, I bottom water. That's how I judge when the plants need watering. If these are good to go outside and it's raining, make sure you have holes in the bottom so that the rain will come out. You don't want these plants to sit in the rain. However, when you put a hole in the bottom, then you're not going to be able to bottom water. So the trick is you have one flat that has a hole in it, and then you put another flat under there that would hold water so that you can still water when you want to, and then you just kind of pop out the flat with the hole, set these down outside. When it rains, the water drains through and you're not drowning your plants. All right, let's set up for the strawflower and the snapdragons. So we're going to do strawflower, snapdragons. We're going to be really setting up for about 200 plants. That's going to save you a ton of money, as I always say. Seed starting is not that hard. The other thing is when your plants get maybe that tall, that's when you want to water them with a water-soluble fertilizer. That will give them some fertilizer, keep them going. But just keep it a very diluted water-soluble fertilizer. So strawflower, beautiful cut flowers. They actually feel like paper when you touch the leaves. They grow really easily. They get, I don't know, 3 feet tall, maybe a little bit taller. You can get dwarf varieties, but they will last for weeks as cut flowers. I highly recommend them for your garden. Snapdragons, everybody knows, these are a mixed variety and they're tall. So these are going to be over a foot tall. Snapdragons, a couple ways to do it. So let's start with how I'm actually growing them so that when you see them, you'll kind of understand best. These are all going to be strapdragons. These are all going to be snapdragons. The seeds are really small. No depression. And I'm really just sprinkling in anywhere from 5 to 15 right on the surface. You're not even really going to be able to see it. I just kind of let them, roll out of my fingers. Maybe we'll do half of a tray actually, because I forgot I have the strawflowers. Alright, so the snapdragon seeds are down. Now when these come up, there's going to be a lot of seeds in there. I'm going to actually split the cell in half, so I'll have a snapdragon plug. So these 6, 12, 18, 36 plants will turn into 72 plants. The pack of seeds was actually, well, you can't see it there, but it was 99 cents. You can't beat that. And they grow super, super easily. I'll show you how to put those in a second. Strawflowers are going to go in right next to them. I don't really have to mark these because I know what they're going to look like. Strawflower seeds are bigger. I'm going to drop 3 or 4 into each cell. These are going to stay more on the surface. These will just kind of mix under a little bit. 3 or 4 seeds. Again, I will divide these up. This is how nature drops seeds. You can put 1 seed in if you want. But, I basically tear the plug, maybe up pot it. When they get bigger, I tear it again. So you can take, something like this and go from 1 to 2 to 4. And I do that a lot of times to save space. Like I don't have enough grow light space to do like 8 flats of these. So I time it so the frost is ending outside obviously. And then I up pot these outside, let them grow a little bit more, maybe divide them again, and then I put them into their permanent spot for the summer. Alright, the seeds are down. I'll also show you how to use the tray over here. It's going to be pretty straightforward. And I just like to use a pencil. So the strawflower, I can even say that's 1/4 of an inch. It might be a little bit further. But I'm just mixing them under. Some of them may stay on the surface. That's fine. But for seeds about that size, that's what I do. So we are growing hundreds of dollars worth of plants. When you're buying a straw flower, it basically starts just like this. They put it into a bigger container. Of course, it's grown longer, but you're going to be paying $4, $5, $6 a plant instead of 99 cents for a pack of seeds. What do we say that was? 6, 12, 18, 36 plants just right there, not even including dividing them. So those are mixed in. The Snapdragons, I really just kind of roll in to the surface like that. And you don't want them to go too deeply. And then I would just make sure I bring in the soil from the sides of the plastic. I sell all this at my seed shop. These are being planted in basic 6 cells. And that would set up the Snapdragons. And then I want to make sure I don't have any Snapdragon seeds on there. And then for these, once I kind of mix them in, do the same thing, as I'm just pulling the soil into the cell, pressing it in, cleaning it up a little bit. And this is 72 cells, but it's really a lot more plants than that because we can divide them up. These are perennials that I grew 2 and 3 years ago. That's purple coneflower starting to come up. Shasta daisies. That is holly foam right there. And I started these just like the plants I'm, showing you today. More holly foam. So this whole section, if I were to buy the plants this size, these are going to be $8, $12 plants. So by just growing them yourself, let them fill in, save a lot of money, and they're absolutely beautiful too. I mean, it looks really nice here when they're all flowering. Growing these under grow lights, 12, 14, 16 hours with the light on. The rest dark, so you have a day cycle, night cycle. Again, once they break the surface, you can move them in and out during the day if you want to. I am keeping track of them, so I do have some perennials. That's a P right up there. So that's butterfly weed, painted daisies. So again, start your perennials now. They may not flower, but they can overwinter and they can freeze. Down here, these are poppies. That is only 10 days worth of growth. Poppies can be expensive to buy in the stores as plants. Spend $1.69 on a pack of plants, $2 a pack, and you can have all those poppies. Overseeded, I'll split them up, maybe into 4s, depending on what the root system looks like to me. Foxglove, it's seeded just like the Snapdragons. That's all coming up. That's a perennial. They're really expensive to buy in a gallon pot. $2. I'll have 72 plugs of the foxglove. Snapdragons, 10 days. Look how beautiful they are. And then working your way up here, I just have the different plants sprouting up there. And then again, I mark the left corner right on a sheet of paper. And I know what's growing in there. If you don't have a marker, piece of tape and a piece of paper. This is a great way, I want to stress again, to save lots of money. And if you're going to do a plant sale, like a plant yard sale, you can grow annuals too and sell them. $2 a plant, something like that. People will appreciate it and you can make some money for your garden. You can also seed start just about anything this way. I've done a video on this for tomatoes and peppers. This is just a baking tray. Fill it full of soil with starting mix actually, and you could plant right into it. I don't need that many flowers because I've started them in the flats and seed starting cells. So you just fill this with seed starting mix pre-moistened. If you were going to do Cosmos or the Marigolds or the Zinnias, you would just make the depression holes like that. And that's about 5 across. That's 25 plants. You would drop them in, cover them up of course, and then this is something I would move in and outdoors. And then this tray actually has a hole in it to let drainage out. This tray doesn't, and that's the combination that I use. So when they're outside, they're like this, so if it rains, it drains out. When they're inside, they go into that flat, maybe I bottom water. And you can do just about any seed this way, and then when they're to size, you're just getting a spoon, gently digging in and lifting out each plant. And you may lose a plant or two, but just about everyone will survive. Now for Snapdragons, they're really fine seeds, as we showed. So there are really a lot of seeds there. So what I like to do, let's just get that in there, is really just sprinkle them across the surface. Unlike the cells that we just planted in where they were really close together, these are spread out just a little bit more so that they're easier to kind of dig out, pluck out the plants and the roots. And all the seeds that you saw in my hand went into here. And then I would just roll them in. Whoop, a little too much. This is nice and loose. They're going to have no trouble germinating. And this is how you can get a whole baking tray, well, half a baking tray, full of Snapdragons. Maybe 40 cents in seeds, a couple of bucks for these if you don't go to the dollar store. You're going to be able to pull out $50, $75, $100 worth of plants just out of this. And this could just sit outside. If frost is gone, it can just sit outside as long as you want. You know, you don't need to bring it in. They'll grow, they'll do really well. Hope this gives you some confidence to start annual flowers indoors. Remember, you can start the perennials. This is how you save lots of money, and this is how you can grow varieties that you may not find in your big box stores or even at nurseries. Thanks so much for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com, and don't forget to keep track of what you're growing. You will forget if you don't label it. Again, thanks for watching.